Hello everyone, welcome to Swiflearn YouTube channel where we connect live with our lovely YouTube kids. I hope you all are fine. So today we are coming up with a new topic altogether. So any excitement for that? Yes? Alright, great. So let's start our topic. But before that, with the same usual that we really follow for the new joinees, let us tell you something about the platform Swiflearn. So Swiflearn is an online platform which offers 100% live and interactive classes. So here the teacher is present live in front of you to teach you those things. Now, when the teacher is present live and there are good number or great number of students present there, is it possible to solve each one of doubts? No, right? And we know it. So that's why we have made a personalized attention batch of maximum of 6 students. Yes, so in a batch, maximum of 6 students are present and we make sure that each person gets a personalized attention from the teacher. Not only the teacher, but here is an academic mentor team that keeps a track of your work progress. So your classwork, homework, assessment, everything is analyzed by the teacher as well as a team which is expert in that. Isn't that great? So your progress is taken care by 2 of the persons. One is your teacher and one is the experts of the team. All right. Not only this, we also cover syllabus as per school exam schedule. So whenever you have a school exam, you just need to tell us and we are ready to teach you and make sure that the topic is covered and all the various type of questions are practiced before your school exam so that you can achieve good scores in them. All right. So that is why it's known as the most sincere learning destinations. India's most sincere learning destination for classes 1st to 10. Yes, Swiflearn is the only platform which is known for its sincerity throughout the world and the classes is 1st to 10. So all of you for 1st and 10th, what are you waiting for? Quickly book a free trial class. Yes, that's right. The trial class is absolutely free. You can book that. The description box has a link. Just click on it and the trial class is there for you. So we have detailed progress reports for you. So all the progress is given in a form of a statistics, which you can see it where you are getting all the homeworks and tasks. You can see your progress report as well. And we making sure that its progress is always increasing. But in case it's human, we all have a tendency to get a drop. So in case it has a drop, now it's a red alert for the teachers as well as the academic mentor teams to make sure that the child is understanding that topic and is excelling in those. All right. Not only this, there are Swiflearn academic test series that have been performed at this platform. So it is a global where all the children from the globe are participating in exams and knowing where do they stand. Isn't that great? Yes, because end of the day, you're not competing with your classmates or your tuition mates. You're competing with the whole world around. So that's why this Swiflearn SATs makes ensure that you are increasing your level and where do you stand in the globe. All right. So for making ensure that a level sustains or you want to increase, you need unlimited practice tests. So yes, we offer unlimited practice tests. Not only that, these practice tests have 2 types. One is objective, one is subjective. So objectives are the one where they are multi-choice question. You just need to click it and they're sorted. Whereas the subjectives are the one where you need to write each and everything and post it to us. And the teacher would be checking each and every step and making sure and giving you the reasoning that is it done up to the level it is required in the school exam or not, or what is improvement needed. Isn't that great? Yes. So everyone, if you really want to be connected with us and you want to hear us again, remember to subscribe to the channel, press on the bell icon so that you never miss any update and you don't miss your favorite YouTube teachers which are coming live with all the various topics to come and deliver you and you can be present live. So for that, you need to just click on the bell icon. All right. So let's start at today's topic. It's midpoint and its converse. So what is a midpoint theorem? I know the theorems gets a little more complicated. Yeah, and it's difficult to prove. But Swiflearn will making sure that you understand the theorem very easily and you know the flow of steps the moment you get enrolled with us. All right. So let's start our class. So what were the insights? The insights are we'll understand first of all what is midpoint. So if anyone who doesn't know, don't worry, we'll do that first. And then we'll do on the theorem. So we'll understand 2 of the theorems that would be covered in this chapter as well as the questions based on those theorems. So everyone excited? Can we start? All right. So here we go. So what do you see this person? What do you think the scale is? And on which purpose did it work? Any idea, anyone? What do you think it works on? Yes. However, they thought that these scales works on a midpoint theorem. So it's like a midpoint where the 2 squares are together and you need to see that it's balancing or not. So have equal way. So that is what is happening. So that it works on a midpoint. So it's the midpoint of this line where the scale is attached and the two things are coming down. All right. So can you see midpoint theorem to find it out? So were you able to see that? Yes. So let's move inside of the midpoint. So midpoint, what does it refer to? So actually midpoint is the middle point of any line segment. So when I say AC is a line segment, MB would be the midpoint. So MA, MB, MC are the midpoint of the triangle ABC of the sides, the respective ones that are given to us. All right. So this represents to a midpoint of BC. This represents to a midpoint of AC, and this represents a midpoint of AB. So what is happening is midpoint is actually a middle point. So middle point refers to that after this point, if we talk about the distance that we are talking about, so this distance and this distance will be same. All right. So if I say A and B will be equals to MBC. All right. And this, if I talk about particular AMB will be equal to half of AC. So जो whatever जो AC का जो आधा distance होगा, suppose ये क्या है 4 centimeter, तो इसका ये distance भी 2 होगा, ये भी 2 distance 2 centimeter होगा, और total 4 centimeter हो गया. All right. So it is a point, it is a middle point of the line segment that is given to us. It's just the half, divides the line segment into 2 equal halves. Simple as that. All right. So let's see how do we do and state the theorem. The theorem says the line segment joining the midpoint of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side and is half to equal. It's equal to its half. So what does it say? Let us break and understand first what are the points that are given to us and what do they want us to prove. All right. So let's understand the first thing. They say the line segment joining the midpoints. So line segment, that is, if D is a midpoint and E is a midpoint, joining the two sides is parallel to the third side. So that means they want to say that if D is a midpoint of AB and E is a midpoint of AC, if we join DE, then DE is parallel to BC. And it is half of it. So what does it say? It is half of it. So let's see how is it possible. So everyone ready? Can we start the proof? All right. Now that's what we are doing. So when you talk about particular triangle, is it able to solve it? We are. So that's why what do? We say that D is and E are the midpoint of AB and AC respectively of the triangle ABC. So in triangle ABC, D and E are the respective one. And what we need to prove? We need to prove that DE is parallel to BC as well as DE is half of BC. That's we wanted to prove it. So let's say how do we start the theorem. So first of all, when we are talking about just this triangle, we don't know anything. So we are not able to compare. So in that way, we need to do some construction or draw something from which we are able to find out the values. So that is what we are doing. So we will draw CF parallel to BA. So now this CF is parallel to BA and will meet DE produced at F. So what have we done? We have produced it and it's meeting at the point of F. So what will happen by this? We'll make a parallelogram in this. Can you see that? We have made a parallelogram. This line is parallel to this line and this is extended. And we have to prove that if this becomes a parallelogram and these two sides are parallel, then that can be a parallelogram and hence DC would be parallel to BC. So let's see how do we prove that. See, in a triangle ADC and CEF. So we can see here also in this area we have formed a triangle and this side we have already formed a triangle. So triangle ADC is the one that we are talking about. And the another triangle is CF and E. So this is one of the another triangle. So E is a midpoint of AC. That gives me that this side is equal to this side. All right. So that's what I say, that AE is equals to CEC or CE. You can name it anyway. Moving on to next thing that we know that if these two sides are parallel, right? We know it. Now it is a parallel. What will happen? Angle ACD and CEF. So this would be the vertically opposite angle. So we know it. Now this is also equal. And the topic that I was saying was parallel. I mean to say that it is an alternative triangle because what alternative angles? Because these lines are parallel. This is becoming a transversal like of a thing. That gives me EAD is equals to ECF. So when I talk about this side, so this angle is equals to this angle, right? So what is happening? These two are parallel and these are alternative angles. So that gives me this angle of this transversal would be equal to this angle of the transversal. Now when I have two angles equal and a side equal, and see the pattern, it's angle side angle. So that's why we say they are congruent by the property of angle side angle. That is why we are using, because side is falling in between. So that is why we are using the congruency rule of ASA. All right. So by this, we are showing that these two triangles that we were talking about are congruent to each other. Now, when they are congruent to each other, will definitely give me that this side is equals to this side. This side was already equal, right? This angle was equal to this side and this angle was equals to this angle. This we knew it. And now when these two triangles are congruent, we have already proved it. That means that AD would be equal to CF. अगर दो triangles congruent होते हैं तो उसकी corresponding paths भी equal होते हैं, right? तो मतलब AD CF के बराबर हुआ, right? So that is what we have done. So these are equal, but AD is equals to BD. But हमें तो ये पता है कि AD this side is equals to this side. That automatically gives me that this side will be equal to this side. Right, we know it now. So what have we proven? That the CF would be equal to BT. हम ये प्रूव कर पाए जब वो साइड्स पैरेलल हैं, उसका एक पोर्शन AD जो है वो इक्वल है BD के और AD ही CF की इक्वल है. तो दैट मीन्स BD और CF दोनों इक्वल हो गए, राइट? अब हमने क्या किया था? एक पैरेलल साइड बनाई थी और ऑपोजिट साइड भी इक्वल हो गई. पैरेलल भी है और इक्वल भी है, तो क्या बन जाएगा? एक पैरेललोग्राम. दैट्स वी वांटेड टू प्रूव, राइट? हमने ये बोला था कि अगर पैरेललोग्राम बन जाएगा तो ऊपर और नीचे वाली साइड्स क्या हो जाएंगी? पैरेलल. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव शोन दैट दीस टू आर पैरेलल and these two sides are equal. That gives me BCEF is a parallelogram and the opposite sides like CF and BD are equal and parallel. So when these are equal and parallel, what will it show? That in a parallelogram the opposite sides are parallel. This will give us that DE is equals to EF because of the congruency. All right, so now this also we know they are equal. So that means this side would be equal to half. What is happening now? I know this is a parallelogram, so this side is parallel to this side. And this side was parallel to this side. And now I know BD is equals to CF. Similarly, now what do I know? I also know that when I was doing this congruency rule, that this side was equals to, this was the half, and now this side would be equal to DE. I know these are the two sides. But when I'm talking about parallelogram, this is the way you can write a parallelogram in the short form. Parallel lines and a gram, GM, that means a parallelogram. All right, that's a shortcut. So in a parallelogram, BCDF, if I'm talking about, will that show that BC will be equal to DF and will be parallel, right? I know this. Now, what I have shown it that BC is equals to DF. But now, what do I know? That these were the congruent. This side was equals to this side, CF. This is what I knew it. DE is equals to CF because this triangle was congruent to this triangle. Now, when they are congruent means this side is equals to this side. And I know that DC is equals to DF, which is a bigger one. So that brings us in two equal parts. That's what it says. So we say that DE is half of DC. Or we can say DE is half of BC. Because we know in a parallelogram, these sides are equal. So DF is equals to BC in a parallelogram. So now we have proven that the parallel line is half, and in the parallelograms we know they are equal and they are parallel. True. So that's what we say, that thus DE is parallel to BC and DE is half of BC. I hope it sounds clear. Yeah, super. So what have we done, guys? We have just made it in a form कि हमने पहले क्या करा, यहाँ से हमने इसको पैरेलल एक्सटेंड करी, इसको एक पैरेललोग्राम के रूप में हमने उसमें हमने इवैल्यूएट करा कि अगर पैरेललोग्राम होगा then the sides would be equal and parallel. That we want to prove it. Then after that we said that why not we make a triangle. So triangle AED was proven to be congruent to triangle CFE. अगर ये कॉन्ग्रुएंट है तो ये वाली साइड इसके पास थी, ये वाला एंगल इसके था, ये एंगल साइड इसके इक्वल है, ये वाली साइड इसके इक्वल, एंड द थर्ड साइड वाज इक्वल because this is what the congruency rule says. Now I know D is equals to EF. This was by the congruency I was able to find out and make this equation number 1. All right. Now I was able to prove that when I said that AD is equals to CF, but in the question is given that AD is equals to BD. In that case means BD is equals to CF. ये वाली side इसके equal हो गई, मतलब ये भी 3 lines हो गई, right? अब वो sides parallel और equal है तो क्या बन गया? It became a parallelogram. And now by using this property and using that the parallelograms BC will be equal to DF, and using the equation number 1, we were able to prove that DE is half of DF. All right, great. So that was the proof of the theorem. I hope you have understood and it becomes really very easy. Let's start the another theorem and then we'll go with the practical part. All right, so let's start it quickly. The next theorem says that the straight line drawn through the midpoint of one side of the triangle parallel to the other side bisects the third side. So if I say that D is the midpoint of the side AB and DC is parallel to DE and AC is equal to CF. So what does it mean when I'm saying that a straight line drawn through the midpoint of one side of the triangle parallel to the other side bisects this side in equal parts and it becomes a midpoint. All right, so let's see how can we prove it. Any idea? What are we going to use in this? All right, any guesses? All right, so let's start. So it says that D is the midpoint of the side of AB. So this is the midpoint. And DE draws parallel to that line and it's parallel to BC. So we know they are parallelly drawn and they are the midpoint. So that means that DE, we have to prove that bisects AC. This we need to prove. And we need to say that AE is equals to EC. All right, so let's see how do we do it. So draw CF parallel to AB that meets at DE at a point of H. Again, we are making the same thing. The construction is doing same. That what are we trying to do? We are making a parallelogram. All right. So in case if we do it and we are able to prove that they are parallel and the sides are automatically will become equal, and this is how we will be able to show that. So let's see how do we do it. So now we know that BCEF is a parallelogram where GC is parallel to BC, CF is parallel to BD. Now we know that CF is equals to BD because the opposite side of a parallelogram are equal. So we were able to prove this. And we also know that CF is equals to AD. Why we are saying it? Because they were equal, that D is a midpoint and it was given to us. So now I know that this side CF is equal to DA. All right, so we have done it. It is a parallelogram where DF is parallel to BC, CF is parallel to BD, CF is equal to BD. We know it because it was a parallelogram. When this is equal, this is the midpoint. That gives me that AD is equals to CF. All right, done it. Okay, moving on to next one. Now, when I'm able to prove that they are equal, how can I do the next thing? So let's see, in a triangle ADE and CEF, let's prove the congruency. AD is equals to CF, that we have already calculated. Angle DAE will be equal to angle ECF, which is the alternative angle, and that we know it that ADE will be equal to ECF because that is also an alternative angle. So what I am doing, I am using a side and two angles. So by the property of angle side angle, I am able to prove that these two triangles are congruent. Now when these two triangles are congruent, that will give me that AC, this side is equals to CE because corresponding parts of congruent triangles are always equal. So this shows that when they two are equal, then E is a midpoint of AC, and that was required to prove. Simple as that. Done. So in both the situation, what we have done is we have used the property of a parallelogram. we are drawing in both the theorems a parallelogram, but we are just changing the things that are given to us. So first time we are coming from up to bottom, and next time we are going the other way around, because the things on the opposite side are given to us and we need to go on the before side. I hope it's clear now. All right, so let's understand and solve some problem based on midpoint theorems and its converse. So how do we apply these properties, these theorems in the practical questions that are generally asked in your school exams? So everybody ready? All right, so prove that the figure obtained by the midpoint of an adjacent side of a quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So what we need to prove that these are a midpoint of the adjacent side when we join it and they become a parallelogram. So let's see, how can we prove? Any guesses? Can we do it? All right. So what do we say? That it's given that triangle ABAC. So this is a diagonal that we have drawn it, and we are saying that D is a midpoint of BC, R is a midpoint of BC, sorry, and S is a midpoint of BA or AD. You can pronounce it any way you want. You can write it any way you want. So now when I know these are the midpoint, so what do I know? If I talk about this triangle, then SR is parallel to AC and SR is half of AC, because here we are using the property that we have understood of a midpoint, saying that that midpoint is parallel to a triangle, then it becomes the half of it and it is parallel when we join it. So that's what we have used. Using the midpoint theorem that we have already discussed, we get to know that SR is parallel to AC and SR is half of AC. All right, moving on to next one. What do we say? Moving on to other side. Similarly, on the other side, like when we talk about triangle ABC and the triangle BAC or ABC, we saw it. We can say that PA is a midpoint of AB and Q is a midpoint of BC. Now, similarly, it gives that PQ is half of AC. Now, from the first equation, we also got that this side was parallel to AC and it's half. The second side, we got to know that PQ is parallel and half of AC. What does that mean? Now, can I put both equal from equation 1 and 2? Yes. From equation 1 and 2, I get to know that SR is equals to PQ and it's parallel. So, in that case, when the sides are equal and parallel, what do we call it? It's a parallelogram, right? So, that's what we say, that it's a parallel and it's equal. That shows that it is a parallelogram. So, this side is parallel to this side. Now, thus PQR is a parallelogram. One pair of an opposite sides are equal and parallel. That is why it says that it is a parallelogram. I hope it's clear. If not, let me repeat it again. तो मैं एक और बारी हिंदी में सबको इजीली बता देती हूँ, जिनको इंग्लिश में थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम हुई समझने में, वो अब हिंदी में भी समझ लेंगे. Alright, so let's start. So it says that it's a parallelogram. एक पैलोग्राम हमारे को दिया हुआ है और वो बोल रहा है कि आपको बताना है कि एस आर पी क्यू जो है वो भी एक क्वाड्रिलैटरल का जो हम ज्वाइन करते हैं उससे क्या बनेगा? पैरेललोग्राम बनेगा. हमें ये शो करना. कैसे करते हैं? सी, हमने एक ना ये एसी एक डायगोनल है उसको हमने ये ज्वाइन कर दिया. ठीक है. अब हम कौन से ट्राइंगल की बात कर रहे हैं? हम ट्राइंगल बात कर रहे हैं ए बी सी की. इसके अंदर एस क्या है? मिड पॉइंट है एडी का. आर क्या है? मिड पॉइंट है डीसी का. ये तो हमें बोला हुआ है मिड पॉइंट्स को करना है. हमने इन दोनों को ज्वाइन करके बना लिया एस आर. ठीक है. अब जब हमने ये दोनों ज्वाइन कर लिए और हमें ये पता है कि मिड पॉइंट थ्योरम से जब हम लाइन ज्वाइन करते हैं तो ये एस आर किसके इक्वल होता है? इसके हाफ के, और वो पैरेलल होता है. ये क्यों? क्योंकि मैं मिड पॉइंट थ्योरम ही बता देती है, जिससे मुझे ये पता चल गया कि एस आर जो है एसी के पैरेलल है और एस आर क्या है? हाफ ऑफ एसी. इसको हमने फर्स्ट इक्वेशन ले लिया क्योंकि हमने इस साइड ऑफ अ ट्राइंगल के बारे में डिस्कस करा. अब इस साइड ऑफ अ ट्राइंगल के बारे में डिस्कस करते हैं, ट्राइंगल ए बी सी के बारे में. सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ट्राइंगल ए बी सी, पी क्यू इज पैरेलल टू ए सी. ऑलराइट, सो इन दिस ट्राइंगल पी एंड क्यू इज अ मिड पॉइंट ए बी और बी सी का, और मिड पॉइंट थ्योरम को अप्लाई करके हमने बोल दिया पी क्यू इज पैरेलल टू ए सी एंड वो हाफ है ए सी का. दोनों चीजें हाफ है एसी की, मतलब वो भी इक्वल है. तो पी क्यू इज इक्वल टू एस आर. नाउ वी आर एबल टू पुट दैट टुगेदर. और हमें ये भी पता है वो पैरेलल है. और कुछ पैरेललोग्राम की प्रॉपर्टी क्या है? अगर एक भी साइड ऑपोजिट वाली पैरेलल है और इक्वल है तो वो पैरेललोग्राम बन जाता है. सो बाय दिस वी आर एबल टू कंक्लूड दैट दीज आर पैरेलल एंड आर अ पैरेललोग्राम. All right. So let's start another question altogether that we need to prove today, that says in a parallelogram PQR, L is a midpoint of S and R, and SN is drawn parallel to LQ, which means that RQ produced to N cuts the PQ at the point M. Proof that हमें सब कुछ उन्होंने बता दिया है. क्या क्या बताया है, चलो पहले उसके बारे में हम डिस्कस कर लेते हैं जल्दी से. क्या बताया है हमें? हमें ये बताया है कि ये एक पैरेललोग्राम है. ऑलराइट, PQRS इज अ पैरेललोग्राम. L क्या है? एक मिड पॉइंट है. अगर L मिड पॉइंट है मतलब SL इज इक्वल्स टू LR. ये हमारे को पता चल गया. अब क्या बोला है? SN इज ड्रॉन पैरेलल टू LQ. सो इसके पैरेलल ड्रॉ करा हुआ है, तो वी नो LQ इज पैरेलल टू SN. Okay, so now they want us to prove, which means that RQ when produced to N cuts the PQ point at P, or we have to prove that SP is half of RN and SN is twice of LQ. So इसके अंदर हम क्या use कर सकते हैं, कैसे prove कर सकते हैं? Let's see. So let me make a whiteboard for you all so that we can start the topic and you would be able to relate how are we doing. All right, so here we go to start our question all together. So the first thing that is given to us, that PQRS is a parallelogram. I hope you have understood that this lines of parallelogram is a shortcut in which you can write two parallel lines and a gram. That means a parallelogram. The second statement that says that SR is equals to LR, because it says that L is the midpoint. So we can write, you need to write that L is the midpoint. Remember, the everything that you're solving in these type of questions, reasoning is important for each and everything that you state. Even if it's given in the question, you need to write and give in a bracket the reasoning बहुत जरूरी है. Okay, और हमारे को थर्ड क्या बोला था कि LQ is parallel to SN. हमारे को ये भी बताया हुआ है कि LQ और SN क्या है, दोनों लाइंस क्या है, एक दूसरे के पैरेलल. अब क्या प्रूफ करना है? हमारे को ये बताना था कि SN की प्रॉपर्टी में हमें ये प्रूफ करना है SN इज इक्वल टू ट्वाइस ऑफ LQ. एक फर्स्ट थिंग हमें ये प्रूफ करनी है. सेकंड हमें प्रूफ करना है SP इज हाफ ऑफ RN. तो हमें ये दो चीजें प्रूफ करनी है. So let's see how do we do it. Let's start. We say that in triangle SRN, हम इस ट्रायंगल की बात करते हैं, तो उसके अंदर हम क्या कहना चाहते हैं कि RQ is equals to QN, because midpoint theorem says that when a line is parallel and it's coming from the third axis, will cut and divert the other two sides into equal parts. That's what we say. So this is that RQ is equals to QN by midpoint theorem. So we can write that by midpoint theorem we can say that RQ is equals to QN. All right, now what do I know? Let us do the ratios of it. Now I know these two sides are equal, these two sides are equal. Let's find the ratio among that, because that is how we'll get the relationship between it. So we say that RL by SR will be equals to LQ by SN. This is what it is. Then the ratios are equal. That means LR upon SR will be equal to LQ upon SN. So this is the smaller one upon the higher one. This is the smaller one upon higher one. All right. So now what do we know this? LR, RL. RL I know. RL is one side. What is SR? It's twice of RL or LR we can say. So let me put that. We'll say LR upon twice of LR is equals to LQ upon, I say it as SN. Done. Now what is happening in this case? I know what am I using. I am using the property as L is a midpoint. This will give me that SL is equals to LR and both of them are equals to SR. If I say R equal to SR, then I need to say that they should be twice, right? इनका डबल जो होगा वो इसके इक्वल होगा, क्योंकि दोनों साइड में से इसका डबल इसके इक्वल है या इसका डबल इसके इक्वल है पूरी साइड. That's what I say. So that's why I'm saying that SR is equal to double of RL या LR, क्योंकि मेरे को इसमें LR LR क्या हो जाएगा, cancel हो जाएगा. So that is why I'm using it. Now from this, what do I get? I get that Sn इस साइड चला जाएगा, right? Which gives me Sn is equals to twice of Lq. So the first equation से मेरे को ये first equation satisfy कर दिया कि yes, they are equal. Moving on to the next one, they say, since I know that Rq is equals to Qn, right? Since I know Rq is equals to Qn. So what do I say? That Rq will be half of Rn. सिमिलरली सेम चीज मैं अप्लाई कर सकती हूँ. मिड पॉइंट है, मिड पॉइंट थ्योरम से इसी से ही मुझे सिमिलरली क्या मिल गया? आई गॉट टू नो दैट सिमिलरली आई कैन राइट इट लाइक दिस, दैट सेज एसपी विल बी हाफ ऑफ आर एन. क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है? एसपी हाफ कैसे हुआ आर एन के? क्योंकि what I say, this side is equals to this side, which is given because this will be the midpoint. This is the line extended in such a way, and we are applying a midpoint theorem where we say that IQ would be half of Rn. पूरी साइड का वो हाफ है. उसी तरीके जैसे हमने यहाँ पे रेशियो से सॉल्व करा, वैसे ही मैं रेशियो से सॉल्व करूंगी. तो I'll get to know that SP is half of Rn, and that is what was required for us to prove. I hope it's clear. If not, let's repeat it again. एक और बार करने की कोशिश करते हैं, ठीक है? I know थोड़ी सी कॉम्प्लिकेशन हो जाती है इन क्वेश्चंस. Don't worry. What else given is? देखो बच्चा, हमारे को दिया हुआ है PQR is a parallelogram, ठीक है? अब मेरे को ये भी पता हुआ है ये वाली साइड किसके इक्वल है? इस साइड के इक्वल है. और मुझे ये भी बोला हुआ है कि ये वाली साइड क्या है? पैरेलल है इस साइड के. नाउ मैं ट्राइंगल पूरे की बात करती हूँ. कौन से ट्राइंगल की? SRN, द होल ट्राइंगल की बात करते हैं जब हम. तो वी से थ्रू द मिड पॉइंट थ्योरम दैट SRQ विल बी इक्वल टू QN. एक तो चीज ये होगी कि वो इक्वल पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करती है. दूसरा क्या है? उनके रेशियोज भी इक्वल होंगे तो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग है. तो RL अपॉन SR, द टोटल वन साइड ओवर द टोटल विल बी इक्वल टू LQ अपॉन में SN. Right. Now I know that if this was given to me in the first portion itself, so मतलब SR किसके बराबर हुआ? हाफ हुआ. SR का अगर वैल्यू चाहिए SL की हाफ होगा. इसी को ही हमने ये कर दिया कि इसको हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हाफ कर रहे हैं. आई मीन टू से डबल होगा, राइट? आई एम सो सॉरी फॉर सेइंग दैट, नॉट हाफ, क्योंकि मैंने SRL लिखा है वहां पर. यहाँ पे मुझे SL लिखना चाहिए था, यहाँ पे मुझे SR लिखना चाहिए था. फिर तो इन दैट केस इट बिकम्स ट्वाइस, राइट? इट्स ट्वाइस ऑफ SL. ये मैंने प्रूव कर दिया. अब ये ट्वाइस है, इसी की वैल्यू मैंने यहाँ पर SR की भी ट्वाइस है और ट्वाइस LR के भी होगा. तो मैंने LR प्रूफ कर दिया ताकि मैं उसको कैंसिल कर सकूं. इन दिस केस आई गॉट द रिलेशन दैट आई वांट, दैट SL इज इक्वल्स टू ट्वाइस ऑफ SLQ, जो कि फर्स्ट पार्ट प्रूव हो गया. अब दूसरी बात करते हैं. उसी ट्राइंगल में जब RQ और QN इक्वल है, तो इस एरिया से भी जब सिमिलरली हम रेशियोज देते हैं, हमने अभी तक इस साइड से रेशियो ली तो हमारे को ये सिमिलैरिटी आ गई. जब इस साइड से लेंगे तो SP की सिमिलैरिटी आ जाएगी. So that's why we are able to prove that SP is half of Rn. I hope it's clear now. All right. So this is what it was required, and we were able to do that. All right. Moving on to the next question. Let's see how many of you can do this. All right, so in a right angle triangle, ABC is given. Angle ABC is 90 degree, that is given to us. D is the midpoint of AC. We need to prove that AD is half of AC. Any idea how will I do it? Yeah, you can see the parallel line actually. So what are we going to do? We'll draw a parallel line DE, which is parallel to BC, and AB is a transversal. So in that case, when it's a parallel and this is a transversal, what will come? That angle AED will be equal to ABC because this is a transversal and both of them are corresponding angles. Now I know this is 90 degree, will give me this also 90 degree. Simple as that. So that's what we say, that when angle ABC is 90 degree, that is given to us in the question, that gives me that angle DAE is also equals to 90 degree, or AED, any way you pronounce it, will give you 90 degree. I hope it's clear now. Yes. Now what have we done? First of all, हमने एक पैरेलल लाइन बनाई जिसको हमने ट्रांसवर्सल कर दिया और हमने बोल दिया कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग एंगल से वो क्या हो जाएंगे, दोनों एंगल्स इक्वल. Now, by doing this, what will happen? That D is a midpoint of AC, which means that D divides the AC and BD. AD and CD would be equal. So we know it that D is the midpoint of AC. Now I got to know one of the things that AD and BC are equal. Now DE is parallel to BC. DE bisects AB. That is AC is equals to BC. So we know it. अगर वो bisect कर रहा है. Now we form a two triangles. We form a triangle BDEA or DAC or BED. ये दो triangles जो simultaneously हम बात कर रहे हैं, हम उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. Let me highlight it for you that these two triangles we are talking about. One is this triangle, the other one is this triangle. अब इस ट्रायंगल के अंदर हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हम इसके अंदर ट्राई कर सकते हैं कि हम उसको कैसे कॉन्ग्रुएंट प्रूव कर दें. Let's see how are we able to prove it. So in this triangle, we know that angle AED, this is 90 degree and this angle will be 90 degree. Both are 90 degree, obviously. So we got one of the angle. Now I know this side is equals to this side and this one is the common side. So one is the common one and AE is equals to BC. That is given to me already in the question because I know that now DE bisects AB, which gives me AE is equals to BC. Now by side, angle, side, I am by SAS, I am able to prove that these two triangles are congruent. Now when they are congruent, we also know that BD is equals to AD. So ये वाली side इसके भी equal होगी. By CPCD, corresponding parts of corresponding angles are equal. Triangle is equal. Congruent triangle is equal, right? Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are equal. So angles or sides सारी equal हो जाती हैं. That's what we say. अब मैंने क्या बोला था पहले, हमने ये बोला है कि AC क्या है, हाफ. अगर AC का करते हैं तो हमारे पास आता है या तो AD या फिर आ सकता है DC because that is the half. Now I know that AD is equals to BD. So in that case, I know BD is equals to half of AC and this is how we get to know how are we able to solve the questions. So ऐसे हमने prove कर दिया कि अब BD क्या हो जाएगा, half of AC and that is what it was required. तो हमने क्या करा, पहले हमने एक लाइन बनाई, ट्रांसवर्सल के लिए पैरेलल करा, दोनों ट्राइंगल्स में कॉन्ग्रुएंसी प्रूव कर ली, एंगल साइड से हमें कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग साइड मिल गई जहां पे हमें पता चल गया BD is equals to AD and now we know that BD is half of AC. All right, so let's move on to the last thing that we have today, that is the line segment joining the midpoint of a diagonal of a trapezium is parallel to the third side of the trapezium as equals to half the difference between the parallel side. We need to prove this. So let's make a drawing first. हमें trapezium बनाना है, so let's make a trapezium where we'll say that these are the trapezium. So which is the trapezium with us? A, B, C and D. It's a trapezium. So they want the parallel sides of the trapezium is equal and half is equal to the half of the distance between the parallel of the sides. So what are we going to do? Let's make this as a transversal that we needed, or diagonal that we need to draw. Let me make it a straight one, just a second. Yeah. So AC would be the straight line that comes up and this would be the diagonal, which is a straight line. And we also say that this would be a point coming in such a way at the bottom. All right. So this is what it means. Now in this case, we will also draw. Let me change the color and tell you that what I will say, I will be drawing a line in such a way that this is coming F. So let us label these parts. So this would be labeled as G, E, and F. Let's do this. All right. So we say that let E and F are the midpoint of the diagonals DE and DF. Is right. So that's what we say are the midpoint of the diagonals. Diagonals are, sorry for the bad writing, let me do it properly. We are diagonals AC and BD. So now I've made it that E is a midpoint of AC and F is a midpoint of AD in such a way. I know it's not so precise that it looks like a midpoint. So let us do that in a proper, this would be there and this will come G this side. So just imagining it because this is a rough work. So this should be G and this should be E. All right. So in that case, we are done it. So we draw Now what do? We draw DE and produce. Why am I done this already? Because I need it. Produce it to meet AB at the point of G. Right? So what I've done, I've made that DE is produced to meet at line AB at the point of G. So let me erase this T so that it does not make a confusion like this. So this is what we want to make it actually, because this is a midpoint. All right, so done it. So we are able to do this. Now moving on to next one, what do we say? Now let's consider the triangle AEG and triangle CED. So let me highlight that which triangle are we talking about? We are talking about the triangle AEG, this one. All right, and CED, this one, the triangle that has been formed. We are talking about these two triangles. So what are we talking in this triangle? We know that angle AEG will be equal to angle CED because they are vertically opposite angles. Let me write that, angles, right? So an angle AEG. So this one and this angle, whichever is formed, would be equal because they are vertically opposite angles. All right, we have done it. Now we know AE will be equal to EC because that is given. R is like a, what is given to us? That is given that these two are equal because E is a midpoint of the angle. We say E is a midpoint of AC, so we know it is equal. All right. Moving on to the third one, we are able to say that this angle is equal to this angle by an alternative angles. Right? So we are able to prove that the one angle by alternative angles, one by vertically angle and one by side angle. So what are we able to prove now? We are able to prove that, I'm so sorry. Yeah, let me make a whiteboard. So we are able to prove now by this that these two triangles are congruent to each other. So that is what we are going to do now. We are going to put that over it and we will say that this triangle AEG is congruent to triangle CED by side angle congruency. So now the angle was different, the side in between is equal and this angle is equal and the another alternative angle is equal. So we got to know by side angle that these are equal. All right, now when these are congruent, what will this show? That DE is equals to EG because CPCT, that is what you need to write. So this side will be equal to this side that we are talking about. All right, clear? Now moving on to next one, AG is equals to CT. So this side will be equal to CD that we are talking about. So AC is equals to CD. Moving on to next triangle. In triangle DG and which comes B. So this was the B point. That's what I wanted to know. So let's talk about the bigger triangle now. We know that E is a midpoint of DG or GD, right? So E is a midpoint. So E is the midpoint of DG and F is the midpoint of BD. So we know it, BDF is a midpoint. So will give us that EF will be parallel to GB. So already we know that they are parallel. Since they are parallel, I'm writing since we know that they are parallel will give me EF is parallel to AP. GB के parallel है तो पूरे की parallel ही होंगे, right? So this gives me that AB के parallel हो गए. Now I know this side. So let me change the color that it's highlighted easily. That's what I want to say. Now when we'll come up that we know EF is parallel to AB is parallel to CD because AD is parallel to CD. So also we know that EF is equals to half of GB. Since we know this also, now we know it's half, but what will I do? Let I put GD. GB को हम क्या लिख सकते हैं? इससे minus कर सकते हैं. So that's what I'll say. I'll say that EF is equals to half. Instead of GB, I'm writing AB minus AG. और GA, you can write anyway. So इस पूरे में से अगर मैं ये वाली साइड को माइनस कर लूंगी तो मुझे ये वाली साइड आ रही है. Simple as that. That's what I've done it. Now what do I know? अब मुझे पता है कि EF is equals to half of AB माइनस CD, जो कहां से आया, इस इक्वेशन से, इस लाइन से, A या B कुछ भी लेबल कर दो. We get to know that AG is equals to CD, which becomes, when we minus their difference, it becomes the half. So that's what we have to show, that after the difference is half, and we are able to show that when the two lines are parallel, when you wind it, you find the half of a difference that is also parallel. All right, so I hope this theorem makes sense to you, and this question is really very important, generally asked in the school exams, and I tried to make it as simple as possible. तो क्या करना है, ऑलरेडी जो क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ उसको करो. अब वो डिफरेंस की बात कर रहा है, पैरेलल साइड्स की, मतलब ए बी और सी डी के बीच में रिलेशन ही मांगना चाहता है. तो दैट इज व्हाई वी आर सेइंग, वो मिड पॉइंट्स भी बोल रहा था डायगोनल्स के. सो वी जस्ट टुक आउट व्हाटएवर द इंफॉर्मेशन वाज गिवन. हमने दो ट्रायंगल को कॉन्ग्रुएंट प्रूव करा बाय एंगल साइड साइड, और सॉरी बाय साइड एंगल एंगल. वी वर एबल टू प्रूव दैट कॉन्ग्रुएंट. अब जब वो कॉन्ग्रुएंट हो गए साइड एंगल एंगल से, तो हमने उसकी साइड्स को इक्वल निकाल लिया और उससे हमें ये रिलेशन मिला. एंड आफ्टर दैट, सिंस वी नो दे बोथ आर पैरेलल बिकॉज इट is a trapezium and the sides are parallel in that case, and we got to know it that CF would be parallel to GB, and this is how we are able to solve this particular question. I hope it's clear. All right, so that's it from my end today. I hope you had a great session, you enjoyed yourself, and all your doubts were clear. If you really like it and you want to be connected and want to know the next session, how when it is coming, when is the next part of this topic coming up, where we'll practice some more questions, understand it, make some quizzes exciting coming up. If you really want to stay tuned with that and get the notification, then remember to subscribe to the channel and press on the bell icon so that you never miss any of them. Till then guys, take care. Bye bye.